Welcome to KSU Nation, the best K-State and Big 12 podcast out there. I'm Stevie B, and we are talking Big 12 title game scenarios with 2 weeks to go, guys. A lot can happen. A lot of different teams can still get to Arlington. I want to say probably half the league or more than half of the league. I'd say half of the league. Conservatively, the top 8 teams still have a chance to get to Arlington, though. Obviously, it's most likely going to be Texas Tech versus someone, whether it's BYU, Arizona State, Cincinnati, Houston, or Utah. It's probably going to be one of those teams. So, in today's video, we are going to be breaking it down, talking about the most likely scenarios, what it's going to take to get certain teams there, all of that. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, tell your friends. Consider joining the channel as we have just one channel member right now. Shout out to CR Grand, who clicked the join button below and is supporting us for just $1.99. You guys should join him as well. Let's get right into it, guys. Big 12 title game scenarios courtesy of MRED, the website. So you guys can just Google this yourself. MRED Big 12 football. Here are the current records. You guys can see at the top there. In first place is, of course, Texas Tech, who is newly the number 5 team in the country, according to the CFP rankings yesterday. BYU is in the second spot at 6-1. Arizona State is in third place at 5-2. Cincinnati fourth at 5-2. Houston is in fifth at 5-2. In sixth place is Utah at 5-2. In seventh is Arizona, and in eighth place, K-State. I don't think any of those games at the bottom, any of those teams on the right can still get to Arlington, considering they all have 4 losses. Everyone on the left has 3 or less, meaning they still mathematically have a chance to get to Arlington. Here are the remaining games for the Big 12 this weekend, and the following weekend, the final weekend in the Big 12 next weekend, right after Thanksgiving. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pick the games. I'm not going to give any scores and all that. We are going to do another video picking the games this weekend. And of course, we'll do another video for the following week as well. So Arizona is playing host to Baylor. Definitely going to have Arizona winning that game. UCF is playing host to Oklahoma State. Got to pick UCF in this game, though it might be closer than everyone thinks because Oklahoma State is looking a little bit better. They put up a nice showing against K-State, but honestly, it kind of feels like K-State just didn't want to play that game at all. And so we're going to go with UCF in that game. Okay, Cincinnati at BYU, BYU at Cincinnati. This is the game of the weekend in the Big 12. This is the game that's going to decide whether BYU gets to Arlington or not, because it really feels like, and we'll talk about it, feels like BYU needs to win this game. They really need to win out, obviously, to get to Arlington. That guarantees them a spot in Arlington. But if they lose, I don't see a way they can get there either. And we'll talk about the tiebreakers here in a little bit. We'll go BYU because I do think BYU is significantly better than Cincinnati. Colorado playing host to Arizona State. We're going to pick the Sun Devils in that game. Houston playing host to TCU. This could be a sneaky game. I don't think Houston's offense is that good. I don't think TCU is very good overall. We'll go Houston here. KU at Iowa State. Got to take the Cyclones here. And then it's going to hurt my heart to say it, but I think Utah puts a whooping on K-State. I really do. K-State honestly looks like a team that's ready to get to the offseason, and Utah is trying their best to still get to Arlington in the college football playoff. Okay, so that's my picks for this weekend. Let's take a look at the next weekend, and then we will calculate the standings. Arizona State, I think they're going to beat Arizona. They host them in the Territorial Cup last game of the season. KU playing host to Utah. Yeah, Utah's going to whoop them. Utah should whoop them, but, crazier things have happened. Baylor versus Houston. Baylor hosting. Baylor's got the offense. Houston's got the defense. We'll go Houston. We will go Houston in this game. BYU at home against UCF. Yeah, BYU rolls. K-State at home against Colorado. Yep, K-State. Purple, get ready to roll, baby. K-State wins against Colorado. Iowa State at Oklahoma State. I'm going to take the Cyclones in that game. TCU at home against Cincinnati. Toss-up game for me. We'll go Cincinnati, though. And then West Virginia versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech playing one more game. They have a bye week this week, and then they again go to West Virginia. I'm going to go Texas Tech. Let's go ahead and calculate the standings. I feel like most people would say what I just picked is probably what they would pick as well. That would give us Texas Tech versus BYU and Arlington, which I still feel like is the most likely outcome here in the Big 12. Third place would be Arizona State. Arizona State sneaking in there, guys. That win against Texas Tech is going to put them above almost every single team. In fact, it puts them above two other 7-2 teams. So, that win is huge for them. Cincinnati finishes in 6th, Iowa State in 7th, and Arizona in 8th, K-State in 9th. Oof. It's bad for K-State considering they were the preseason favorite. So most likely outcome based off of what most people would probably pick. If you're picking the favorites, Texas Tech versus BYU. But let's say something happens this weekend. Let's go back. Let's say Cincinnati wins. Utah wins out. Houston wins out. A lot of 7-2 teams. What happens? We get Texas Tech versus Utah. Utah sneaks above Arizona State, and BYU and Cincinnati and Houston based on opponent win percentage, meaning Utah will have the best opponent win percentage, meaning they play the toughest schedule, even though they lost to the 2 best teams above them. They would be above Arizona State, and then BYU would actually finish in 4th if they lose to Cincinnati. Houston would be there in 5th, Cincinnati in 6th. So we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams at 7-2, which is actually even worse than last year when the Big 12 had 4 teams at 7-2. So if you are Utah, you want to win out, and you're hoping and praying that Cincinnati beats BYU. But what happens? What happens if Houston doesn't go undefeated? Let's say Baylor gets them. That's one less 7-2 team. Does that affect Utah at all getting to Arlington? Let's see. Utah still gets there. Again, based off of opponent win percentage. No, yeah, they would get them. They would get there right above BYU. BYU would then move into 3rd, Arizona State 4th. Okay, all right. So what happens then? Again, if BYU loses, let's say Houston wins, and then let's say Arizona State loses to Arizona. It's still BYU. Sorry, it's still Houston, not Houston. Still Texas Tech versus Utah. Okay. All right. Well, then what happens if Utah gets stunned by K-State? What happens then? Every other 7-2 team wins. Arizona State would get to Arlington above BYU if they're all tied at 7-2. If it's Arizona State, BYU, Houston, and Cincinnati, Arizona State sneaks in if Utah loses. So Arizona State, they want to win out. They want BYU to lose, and they want Utah to lose. Okay, let's get crazy. Let's get nuts. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Okay. Let's say Arizona State loses to Arizona. Let's say Utah loses out, which is not likely, but hey, maybe. And then let's say BYU loses out. And then let's say Houston loses to Baylor. I think I did it all correct. Cincinnati would have to lose to TCU as well. A bunch of 6-3 teams. Let's see what happens if everyone has 3 losses. What happens here? At 3 losses, we would have Texas Tech versus Arizona State. Arizona State would win all of those at above the 6-3 teams. K-State would still only move up to 7th. Okay. All right. We went kind of crazy there. Let's not go so crazy. Let's say there's all the 7-2 teams. Let's say we have like 6 or 7. Let's get West Virginia beating Texas Tech. Not likely, but maybe. Let's go. My daughter just said 6-7. Okay. Let me see if I can punch these back in here. Okay, we'll go Arizona. We'll go UCF. We'll go Cincinnati over BYU. We'll go Arizona State. We'll go Houston winning out. Where's the other Houston? We'll go Houston winning out. We'll go Utah winning out. Texas Tech dropping to 7-2 with a loss at West Virginia, which, by the way, Mountaineers are playing way better football right now. Way better football. Cincinnati winning out. BYU going 1-1. I think I got it correct here. No, we need Utah there. I think that's it. They should have a bunch of 7-2 teams. Okay. There is a chance for 6 7-2 teams. My daughter says 6-7. If Texas Tech loses and BYU loses, Texas Tech is out of Arlington. In fact, both by BYU and Texas Tech would be out of Arlington. It would be Utah versus Arizona State. So basically, if you are Utah, Arizona State, Cincinnati, I mean, you are praying, hoping and praying for chaos. Okay. Let's see what happens here. Let's go back. I think there's one more scenario we haven't talked about. One more scenario we have not talked about. Let's say BYU wins out and Texas Tech loses. It would be Holy War in Arlington, BYU versus Utah. If Texas Tech loses, BYU and Utah went out, it would be BYU versus Utah in Arlington. How crazy would that be to get Holy War in Arlington? That would be nuts. That would be absolutely freaking nuts. But again, I still think the most likely scenario, I don't see Texas Tech losing. I don't see BYU losing. We're most likely going to get BYU versus Texas Tech, which would be the best case scenario for the Big 12. 2 8-1 teams matching back up in Arlington for a chance, probably even maybe to get a bye. I mean, the winner definitely would get a home game. I mean, at least been that 5 to 8 range, if not in the top 4. I feel like it'd be really, really, really good for the Big 12 if that happened. You got a great fan base, a huge fan base for BYU playing a game in Texas. You know, the Texas Tech fans would travel very well. We're talking 85, 90,000 people at this game, guys. That is the most likely scenario here in the Big 12. I don't know what scenarios gets K-State to Arlington. I've tried almost everything, and it doesn't seem like it helps them. I don't think K-State really has a chance to get to Arlington at this point. So that is our Big 12 title game scenarios with 2 weeks left, guys. I'm Stevie B. This is KSU Nation. Let us know in the comment section what you guys think of the scenarios. Who are you guys picking for the Big 12 title game? All of that and more. And one last thing to say, and that is go Big 12 and go Cats.